live in a culture of compensation and blame. Someone's always at fault and always responsible whenever something goes wrong. So who's to blame for the mess that we English find ourselves in? We need to know. We're all blaming someone. We all know who it is. It's them. Some blame our politicians. How can it be the politicians? They're career people who went to school to get a job to become politicians. It's their job. It's their lucrative career. Today's politicians do not become politicians out of love for their country. They get an education and then look for a party that will support them. Then in return, they are duty bound to support the party. It's what they do. It's how they make a living. They don't represent the electorate. They can't. They're not allowed to. Like you, they've got a job and they've got bosses and they have to do as the boss says. If not, they get the sack. Would you give up about 200 grand a year for an uncertain future? Not many of them can do anything else. There are no jobs for them. They exported England's employment base, I'm afraid. Is it the immigrant? Well, he sees an open door with riches beyond his wildest dreams, all for nothing. He's invited to help himself. He sees a place that has one law for him and another more stringent law for the indigenous people. He knows that he can commit crime that would see him executed back home, and that goes unpunished here. He knows that he will not be deported. Can you blame him for taking an opportunity that equates to a lottery win? I don't think so. Can we blame the asylum seeker? Sorry. He just targets the country that will give him the most. He will walk through country after country to get to his preferred new home. He will save, thieve and scrounge to get the money to pay those who will give him a ticket to Britain. Once he's here, he knows that he's basically given automatic citizenship and benefits that would make him a very rich man back at home. He's looking after himself, his safety and his future. Don't blame him. Now, is it the Muslim? The one that wants to colonise your country and turn it into a model of his own? Well, put yourself in his position. He sees an undefended piece of developed territory that is much better than the place he came from. Once here he's protected and prioritised. He sees a country that has elected its enemies into power and he's simply taking advantage of an opportunity. He has allies in that country who have the same agenda, people who will pave the way for him. He sees a weak administration in the hands of people who couldn't give a toss for it and are willing to hand it over. In this crowded world, he has a God-given opportunity. Don't blame him for taking it. Do we blame our leadership? The Scots and the Welsh politicians in power and their countrymen that have been so carefully planted into positions of authority and influence? Well, they're nationalists. Unfortunately, they're not English nationalists. They're doing what a patriot should do. They're looking after their own country. He's a person who's been educated and indoctrinated to hate the English. He's got no love of our country, no feeling for it, no loyalty, no cultural or historical identity that makes him want to put his efforts into helping the English. Don't blame him. He sees it as revenge, back payment for all the English wrongs to his glorious country. He's a patriot, so don't blame him. So who are the people that have let us down, not done their job, worked against our interest? It is, of course, our English politicians. And who is the one that sat at home on his arse and did nothing about it? Who either didn't bother to vote or always voted Labour, Conservative, our family always have? He who is too idle to take any interest in politics. Politics are boring and there is nothing I can do about it. Who is it that's too thick to realise that political decisions led to the sell-off of every asset this country has ever had? It is politicians that determine the quality of your health, the food you eat, how long you live, your security, the level of crime. It is politicians that surrender your country to Europe so that you don't have manufacturing, agriculture, energy or fisheries any longer. We've lost them. It is they that decide if you go to war and what for. It is they that decide the quality of your education, your health care, your aged care, your level of prosperity, your jobs and who comes into your country. It is they that either support or reject political correctness, and it is they who decide how much of your money they give to their mates, to their own country, to Africa, and the vast amount that they use to control the media and keep you not interested in politics. It is they that sell your country to Europe, the very people who your parents and grandparents died fighting. It is they who betray every vestige of your nationality and your Englishness. If you needed treatment for a serious disease, would you not be interested in your doctor's ability or motives? Would you trust your money to a Nigerian bank? Then why let foreigners with no allegiance whatsoever to England run your country? Who puts them there? Who maintains them there and tolerates their predation? Here is the one to blame. It's you, you tosser.